Alrighty then, I have some good news for you, or some bad news, depending upon where you're coming for or what you want. Remember, good and bad is only relative to what we want. One man's avenging angel is another man's destroying demon. Everything's a matter, again, of perspective. And as a practitioner, I try to expand my perspective as wide as possible. There are certain tools that you will need to be able to do that. And again, I know I was going to be doing the second bowl of the Zen 10 bowls, but I consulted my wisdom aspect, and it said, no, what you guys really want and what you need to know is how to begin to progress along the path. Remember, in the first bowl, I was talking about being lost in the world, and I'm going to tell you part of the reason of that, and that is your internal dialogue. There is a way to stop it. Now, I know meditation masters will say, oh my God, you've got to do hours and hours and years of training to be able to stop the internal dialogue. You know what I'm talking about. That dialogue that continuously goes on in the mind. It's controlled by the calculating aspect of the mind. The calculating aspect of the mind is generally controlled by the ego. So your ego is actually controlling most of your internal chatter. Your internal chatter, if you want to take... Vajrayana calls it internal chatter, so I'm going to stick with that. I kind of like that terminology. It's internal dialogue, or internal chatter. That chatter that constantly goes on. What it's really doing is it's shaping the world around you. It's reaffirming your paradigms. Remember, words are symbols. Constantly you've got thousands of symbols going through your mind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As a matter of fact, it gets exhausting. How many of you have ever said, oh my God, I wish I could stop thinking about this? Or let's say you've done something that has embarrassed you, and your ego has decided to pound on you and make you feel like crap, which it does do. It punishes you. The only way to stop it from punishing you is to what? Be able to stop the internal chatter. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've studied the occult, almost every one of them is going to tell you, oh no, you have to master meditation. No, you actually don't. I know, I hear gasps in the background. What? You don't have to master meditation? No, actually you don't. You can get all of the same benefits that you get from meditation through different means. Meditation just tends to be the most popular because it appeals to the calculating aspect of the mind. This is how, I hate to use the word cults, but this is the way that spiritual groups, if you want to call it that, or even magical groups pull you in, because they need to appeal to your calculating aspect of the mind. So, internal chatter. If you want to be able to connect to your wisdom aspect, if you want to be able to control your ego, you're going to need to be able to control your internal chatter. In other words, turn it off whenever you want. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that in 2 minutes or less. And you'll be able to do it anytime you want, anywhere you want, for as long as you want. Now, personally, when I discovered how to do this, I got to the point to where I could hold my internal chatter to a stop, not think one word in my head. And I did it for 6 hours once. 6 hours. I finally had to turn it back on because the illusions that I had started to move aside. I started to see people as they really were. I started to see the world as it really was. And I, be honest with you, ignorance is bliss. I went ahead and turned it back on. If you guys want to get to that ability to where you can hold your internal chatter turned off for that long, you'll see what I'm talking about. Remember, experience is what builds wisdom. It builds power. All right, so I'm going to show you guys, and everybody can do it. Every single one of you. It might take a couple of tries, but it's really, really easy. How to stop your internal chatter in 2 minutes or less without having to meditate. But before that, I've got to discuss something with you. As a practitioner, we view the world in a whole different way. We look at the world in a multidimensional format, knowing that there is more than this world about this world. In the Hermetic system, they talk about as above, so below. The problem with our physical body is it's incapable of perceiving that other world awake. It can perceive it asleep. It can also perceive it through meditation. So remember, There are more than one ways to get the benefit of meditation. One of the benefits, of meditation is to be able to perceive another world, or the other worlds that are around us. Perceive that which is hidden. Dreams can do exactly the same thing. That's another way to do it. So, we have to understand that we have multiple bodies, and we have to perceive the world in a multidimensional format. I have one awareness, okay? The awareness is the I am. It's that little quiet feeling that we have that we are an individual, okay? It's not our thoughts. The saying of, I think, therefore I am, is really incorrect. That's not correct. We do not need the mind to be the spirit. The spirit actually has no thoughts at all, if you want to call it the spirit. I like to use the term the awareness, because it is aware. And I'll get into subject, object, and how awareness is created at some point in the future. But for this particular one, you need to understand the concept of, and you need to be able to embrace the concept of, an awareness. You are an awareness in this body. While in this body, you can only be aware of what this body can perceive. You also need to understand that your body, or your awareness, within your mind is broken down into different sections, all right? And it breaks down in really down, and I'm going to go through personality aspects, etc. in the future. But I've already opened up your guys' mind, or, your eyes and your mind to the possibility that you have a wisdom aspect and you have a calculating aspect. Think of your mind as more like, let's look at it like your body. Your body has a circulatory system. It has a respiratory, reproductive, and there's a lot of aspects to your body. But you think of your body as a whole, as a complete, self-contained unit, whereas actually it's not. Your mind and your personality is not a self-contained unit. There's many parts to it. It's just our awareness moves seamlessly between these different aspects, quickly, instantaneously, to where it feels like it's actually a whole, whereas I'm really moving between different consciousnesses and different personality aspects. Now, to be able to do this ability, to be able to stop your internal chatter, and to be able to start to see the world as it really is, you need to understand that there are 6 consciousnesses within the body, within your body, that your awareness moves in between. You have the consciousness of smell. You have the consciousness of mind. You have the consciousness of touch, sight, hearing. All of the senses, okay? Basically, each one of our senses are a consciousness within itself. Now, as you move along the path, you're going to discover that when your awareness is in one consciousness, it can't use the others. This is a major trick to learn, okay? It's a major trick in how to reduce the power of your ego, to control your own ego and control your own mind, to gain a self-mastery, is that my awareness, if I have it in one consciousness, then the others don't actually have an influence on me because I am not aware of them. So, where is our awareness mostly in the human, in the normal person? Where is it almost always? It's in the mind, correct? But I want to ask you a question. Have you ever really smelled something? Think about it. Your internal chatter stops because you're out of the mind. Have you ever went to go touch something and really wanted to feel every detail of it? Try it right now. Go onto your desk, touch it, really feel every detail. Notice your thoughts stopped. I want you to take a second and I want you to listen. Just listen totally to my voice, 100%. Listen to my voice, 100%. Now keep listening even when I stop talking. There. For a second, your internal chatter stopped. Stopping your mind is going to have internal chatter. It's the purpose of the mind is to what? Think. To produce thoughts. That's its purpose. That's what it does. You can't stop it. Just like you can't stop yourself from breathing. But what I can do is become unaware And in a sense, when it become unaware of what my internal dialogue is, it no longer has an influence on me. Are you following what I'm saying? So, practice that. I like to use shifting to my hearing. Tends to be the easiest for me. If I need to stop my internal chatter, the way I started to train myself was to be able to just shift over to listening to every little detail around me, focusing 100% on my hearing. And it worked. It stopped it. Now I'm at the point to where I can just stop it any time I want. It's just kind of like flipping a switch. And you'll progress to that point too. As a practitioner, this is an important skill to learn. It's an important skill to practice. And you don't have to spend 10 years mastering meditation to do it. You can do it by understanding the nature of the mind and the nature of reality. And as a practitioner, that's your job. I'm John Masters. Make sure to subscribe.